Hello, happy August. I am Christina Zachary with the Zachary team. Gabriel and I are San Antonio's realtor couple. So we are San Antonio realtors and we help people buy, sell, and invest in San Antonio. But today you are watching and listening to Home Sweet Home San Antonio podcast, where Gabriel and I meet with the movers and shakers in San Antonio. And I'm so excited for our guest today because I have been dying to find someone in the sports industry here in San Antonio. And I found him and locked him down. And today we're here with Shane Sharp. He works with the Brahmas and he is the ticket sales and experience manager. So Shane, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Super excited. And can you please tell the YouTube world and everybody listening and watching about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Christina said, I am on the sales staff with the San Antonio Brahmas. We just finished our second season playing in the UFL. Our games are broadcasted on Fox, ESPN, and ABC. We play our home games here at the Alamo Dome, and it was an incredible season with Wade Phillips as our head coach. We were conference champions, and we came up short in the championship game, but the game was a lot of fun, and it's been incredible to engage with the San Antonio fans in the market. We've got people that now have Brahmas tattoos. We have characters that all organic. You know, they're not paid mascots or anything. Wow. That fans will go and take pictures and look for in the game. And so we've been incredibly blessed with the current fan base now, and we're excited to further our roots here in San Antonio and grow the team as a whole. But I've enjoyed working in sports for now it feels like 10 years or so from experience of internships and everything. And so dabbled a little bit on the promotions and fan engagement side, and now I'm on the ticket sales side, and it's a lot of fun. I enjoy working with people.
Yeah. No, anytime you're talking about work or anything like that, you always have just this bright energy, which I absolutely love. So let's kind of start what I do with every single guest. We start with the past.
Okay.
And how did you end up in San Antonio? So tell us a little bit about growing up. Were you always into sports? What led you to becoming or being here in San Antonio? Were you born here? All of that jazz.
Yeah, of course. So originally from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay. But I was born in Memphis, Tennessee. My dad served in the Navy as a corpsman, and he got out shortly after. And both him and my mom were from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Uh-huh. And so grew up there, went to college at Texas Tech, and got my degree in sport management.
Nice.
Part of what led me to San Antonio, it's where my wife was finishing up grad school, and she got an opportunity here. So it was between San Antonio or the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and she was the one that had the job locked in. So we moved down here, or I guess I moved my things down here, and I've lived here for 5 years now, and thoroughly enjoyed it. But what kind of got me into sports around high school, I'd say about sophomore year, I was done playing high school sports, but wanted to figure out how I could have a career in sports. Sport management degrees or marketing just wasn't a big thing. This was around 2010, so 2012, 2013. And a few universities offered that degree throughout the U.S. Kinesiology was what a lot of people thought when I said, I'm going to go get my degree in sport management. But didn't know that was actually more so targeted on the marketing, business side, operations of how sport functions. So with that, I had an opportunity to intern with an arena football team in the North Dallas area, and that's when I got fully submerged into how game operations and throwing T-shirts and the behind-the-scenes inner working of how a game is operated and ultimately what you guys as fans see. And so I embraced the chaos of it. It was a lot of fun. And then I had the opportunity to do the same while at Texas Tech and worked under some great leadership in that. And for about 3 years, I was the head game day intern for the men's basketball team. So executing all of the on-court promotions, so everything that you saw from a national anthem to player recognition and working with the cheerleading team and the band to kind of orchestrate and make sure we're executing things on the basketball court at the right time, as I was led from my boss who was at the scores table. So did that, and then had an opportunity to come back to DFW and work for that arena football team that I was an intern as their director of marketing. Basically, I oversaw all their game operations and plugging in sponsorship and making sure that our mascot was all set, that the cheerleaders were properly and in place and everything. I wasn't a coach, but from there, got married and moved down here to San Antonio, and for about 3 years had the opportunity to work with San Antonio FC on their sales staff and really get to kind of understand San Antonio a little bit as a market, as how relational it is, and people that you hear that, well, I want to do business with people that I like. That's very true here, but it's also people that they trust.
Yes.
Here, it's very big in San Antonio. So I took a little piece of that and incorporated into what I do today with the Brahmas. And my last stop before the Brahmas, I had the opportunity to work for the Special Olympics as a program director, overseeing their competition. And a buddy of mine that I interned with the indoor football team when I first started connected with me a couple years ago and said, "Hey, you want to come work for the Brahmas?" And I said, "Let's go for it." And
wow,
it's been a fun roller coaster ride.
Sounds like it.
So and here we are today.
Wow. So it's like two.
Yeah.
It seems like it just always continued growing, which, in a sense, it's kind of like it's something you probably were destined to do, and you were just made to thrive in the sports industry.
I was very hard pressed. I've got some good friends of mine that even got degrees in sport management, no longer work in the sports field, and they're crushing it in their respective fields.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something that you kind of have to embrace the grind of it, because the pay starting out is not luxurious, because people even outside of sports degrees with marketing or general business or accounting, anything of that nature, want to work in sports because it's flashy at times, and you get to be associated with a team, or your office is the stadium, or you get to maybe be around players, but the pay's not always there. But if you continue working and stick with it, just like a lot of careers, it eventually pays off for the most part.
That is truly inspirational, because I know plenty of people who thought this, like growing up, they thought the same thing about sports management, but they're now doing the complete opposite. So to hear you actually got a degree in sports management and you're actually using it, that's pretty cool.
I'm also very stubborn. When I kind of stick to something, I want to see it through.
So tell me about the Special Olympics. That must have been such a rewarding experience, a really cool experience as well.
It was. I mean, my favorite part was working with the athletes. It truly changes you from an aspect of not so much that you judge a book by its cover, but you see someone with a physical or even intellectual disability, and you go, I wonder how they're going to succeed in that sport. And actually, I first started in college. One of my professors said, "Hey, go get out there and volunteer at a local grassroots sports level." And I'd always saw stuff about the Special Olympics, and one of the athletes who it was track and field, and so one of the athletes was doing shot put, where they've got to take a heavy round cannonball basically and chunk it in the sand, and you measure it out.
Yeah.
Well, he wheeled up in a wheelchair, and I thought, I don't know how this is going to work. So I helped him up, and he ended up beating the field of other boys that was in his group. And so it was really neat to just see that testament of, sure, he has a physical disability, but he was still able to beat the rest of the kids in his field that could stand. And so when an opportunity came up here kind of in San Antonio and even in the Austin area to get to work for that organization, I said, yeah, let's go for it. It's and again, it was very rewarding, and miss getting to see some of those athletes and the competitions, but really kind of taking home what the catalyst of sports can be in someone's life, that regardless of the noise and everything that's going on and around in that person's world, sports can bring that sense of joy that other things maybe are a little bit harder to grasp. So being able to kind of help put on those competitions and just see the joy and the ferocity of some of those athletes, and I mean, they would get after each other. They would jaw, and just like you would when you're competing with your friends at any other sporting competition. They're getting after each other, and they're supporting each other, cheering each other on, and so it was really cool to see, honestly, competitive sports at its rawest form, and the joy that it brings.
That's got to be the ultimate, I would say, learning experience, if especially being an experienced manager and the fan experience, because Olympians, right? They are true fans of the sport, and for you to be intertwined and directly working with them, it kind of maybe I would think, and if I'm right, let me know, that you kind of can like enhance their fan experience, but they're in the experience, but you can see. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say? It makes sense in my head, because they have to have a great experience as an Olympian, and you have to create that experience to make it great for them, but you're dealing directly with the person in the sport, not just the fan. So I would assume that working directly with someone in the sport, you can have a great takeaway for the people who are not even involved and they're just in the stands. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
Absolutely. And a lot of that experience derived when I was doing game operations. It's kind of the show within the show.
Yeah.
And you see a promotion, it's a t-shirt toss, right? Make sure
Yes.
the PA is read, and the t-shirt toss is done after the PA read, and it's done appropriately. You see it all the way through. And so just like that competition, just the respective, like our bosses at Special Olympics was like, this is sometimes the most exciting points for the athletes, like, throughout their calendar year. Mm-hmm. So let's do it appropriately, make sure that it's well ran, and that, we do whatever we can within the capacity that we could to make sure that they had a great time, that it was organized, that there wasn't anything that took away from their competition or their experience. And so each opportunity that I've had along the way, I've been able to take bits and pieces and somehow slowly interweave them into what I do today with the Brahmas. Case in point, I had their ALPS with Special Olympics. It stands for Athlete Leadership Program. And so I had about 20 or so I think it was about 16 athletes and maybe about a group of 25 or so. Had them come out to a game. They got to participate after the game with post-game autographs with players. Then we took a big group picture on the field, and just to be able to see the joy that brings, and kind of just that take-home piece that fills my cup, if you will, on what I do. Granted, I have a responsibility in selling and bringing people to Brahmas games, but when there's a special piece to that, and I get to take a part of maybe what I did in my previous role there, and I get to blend it with what I do now, it's selfishly, I get to take that home, and I enjoy that.
Yeah, I love it. So let's say a family decides, or a couple, or whoever, decide to buy season tickets to a Brahmas game. Now, of course, you're part of sales, but of course, the experience manager, how can you enhance their experience as a season membership. Yeah. I combine season and member.
Right, yeah.
Season membership owner of those tickets, and how do you enhance their experience?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, what makes us unique to other major sports organizations, not just specific to San Antonio, but throughout professional sports as a whole, is I'm with you from start to finish. So that's walking you through the sales process. And of course, I say sales process, but really that's, all right, what seats do you guys want to sit? What's your budget? We're not trying to crush that either. Like, let's make sure you're taken care of, and that you get the experience of what you pay for and what you want. Who's coming with you? Are you bringing your children? Is there a certain experience that, hey, it's family time, or it's me and my buddies, or I'm trying to bring a client? What are you trying to achieve in the, basically space that is a Brahmas game? And so understanding what that objective is. Granted, I can't get out there and play on the team for you, or change the score, or put helmets and pads on you, but have as much of an input on what you're expecting in that experience of having those season tickets, but not just, hey, we appreciate the payment, thanks for the support, maybe we'll see you guys next year. But being there at every home game, if there's something that needs to be addressed, or making sure that they're up to date, knowing when our season ticket member events are, what their benefits are, or even if it's their merchandise discount code that I have to resend. But just they always have a point of contact with the team, regardless of what their need is, being good or bad. But just taking care of them, and then hopefully that the team did well enough, they had a good enough time, and hopefully I did my job, and they come back and hang out with us again next year, and maybe bring their neighbors or friends or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, because I would also assume that, I know, just like any industry, you have very different clients, very different wants and needs, and
Yes.
what one client could want from an experience, another client be like, yeah, I'm not really into that, but let's do something else. So you have to be like a chameleon and work with all different types of fans.
Very, very much so. We what they call full menu. So we don't have specific sales departments. So no one day is alike. So some days it's a little bit retention and customer service with current season ticket holders, or it's a company that wants to bring out their staff, and we got to figure out how their drink tickets are taken care of and how they can pay that for a head so they can drink however much they want.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're renting out a full season suite because you want to treat families or your clients, whatever that looks like. We run the full thing on it.
Of course.
And can put our unique spin to each situation.
Nice.
To cater to, again, whatever you want to do at a Brahmas game.
Okay, cool. Now there's a bunch of different teams here in San Antonio. Of
Yes.
course, you have the Spurs. I think they're still called the Chanclas.
That's their alternative. Well, they do it every so often.
The Missions baseball team as
Yep.
well. And then we also have, we don't have the hockey team anymore.
No.
But we do have multiple sports. So how do you get people and drive them to the Brahmas? How do you get yourself out there and have them choose that team?
Yeah, I think maybe the first is just catering to football fans in general, knowing that there's a desire that when Katrina hit in the early 2000s and the Saints played here in San Antonio, there's just that buzz for NFL, or when teams like the Raiders or others would kind of flirt with the idea of an NFL team, San Antonio always said, hey, whatever we got to do, like, let's get him here. And so knowing that, again, for now 2 years, and we're here to stay and keep going, that you can jump on with the Brahmas and watch a quality professional product of players that are of former NFL, or they're past their collegiate experience and they're looking to get back into the NFL, where we're now, as a league, we've put over 30 players, now creeping almost into 40, that have signed NFL contracts, and then it's up to them to
Very
break
cool.
into training camp. So knowing, just catering to football fans at first, but also sometimes it's a bit of the new flashy thing, right? All of the respective teams we have in town have been here for a while, and their success has allowed them to be here for that long. I mean, the Spurs just celebrated 50 years a couple of seasons ago, so we'd love to strive for that. That's a long way to work towards, but just being a staple within the community and something that is going to be here and you can count on. But more or less, businesses that, we've never had an opportunity to go to a football game before, or fans that like, I don't want to travel to Dallas to see a Cowboys game, or to Houston to see a Texans game. Let's do a Brahmas game.
Yeah.
So, it's a melting pot of all different people who we cater to, and why they come to Brahmas games.
Okay, and for the people who don't know, where do they play their games at?
So we call home, or hang out, at the Alamo Dome.
Okay.
We play during the spring. We play 10 games total, all on the weekends. It's 10 weeks straight. So unlike the NFL that has a bye, we play, again, 10 straight weeks, and then we'll go into our playoffs, which are basically the top 4 out of 8 teams make it, which we played in our conference championship this past season, and we beat St. Louis to move on to the championship game. So we play 5. So I guess to retread a little bit, or back up on it, we play 5 home games. They all take place on the weekends, which is great for
It is.
really anyone, whether you're trying to, again, entertain a client, or you and your buddies are
family
coming
time.
out, or just a family. Yeah, absolutely. And so It works out, ideally where, and even when I worked at San Antonio FC, we had some, weekday games, and sometimes those were tough.
Yeah.
And especially if we cater to families in a certain aspect of our product in our game, it's kind of hard when you've got kiddos at home. You're like, well, it's a school night. Like we
Yeah.
can't really commit to this. So makes that decision a little bit easier when we just say, hey, it's all the games are on weekends.
Nice. Now, I love tea and chisme and drama and all of that. So I know you probably have some interesting stories, whether it's a horror story or a funny story or something interesting, but tell us, and it doesn't have to be with the Brahmas if you don't want it to, because you currently work there,
Right. Of course.
But tell us about, I know sports, people can get heated or there's a lot of passion, a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Tell me about a funny story, or like when I'm like talking about it, what are some stories that come to your mind?
Yeah. So one of the things about working in sports, and I can't necessarily speak in other industries, but I imagine it's somewhat similar, is you're always going to have to be ready. Things are just going to go sideways. You are going to be asked to wear more hats than what your title or what your position requires. And so probably the best example of that, and I was taught this in college, just always kind of be ready. And so I was working for the arena football team. We had, and of course, arena football is basically within a hockey rink, if you will. That's kind of the length and size. So we played at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. And my boss at the time had come up with the idea for inflatable walls. We had to have some sort of retainer wall, if you will, that encompassed our field, because that's a part of arena football. You get to tackle your opponent into the wall and they'll fall over into the stands, and kind of gives you that closeness. You can see this at a gunslingers game.
Yeah.
And so one of the problems with inflatable walls occurred maybe our second game into the season, and the blower basically blew a power fuse on that and ceased to work. Naturally, this was the game that both my mom and dad and my future in-laws attended, and I'm of course running the game. And so when this happened, the referees called the game, and I had to call one of our interns to run up to the main concourse, which of course was upstairs, and had to go get basically our backup blower. And while we waited for that, I took upon my experiences from college where basically my boss's name is Andy Rowden. Incredible person. And he basically said, one, always finish the promotion. Make sure that from start to finish, it's always done. But the other thing is you can't ever have dead time. We are, people, as much as you think of sports as athletics, it's very much so in the business of entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
So if you go to any sporting event, and I kind of think of this because it's just how I'm wired at this point. If I go to a sporting event and it's just dead silent, the PA announcer's not saying anything, no one's throwing T-shirts,
No
music isn't being played.
Yeah.
If it's just dead silent, I'm going, what is going on? Like, why is there, no noise of anything going on?
Yeah.
And so with that, I immediately, I'm on the headset and I'm communicating with our PA announcer and with our DJ, and basically told, all right, PA announcer, say, fans, it's going to be a short break. We're going to get this tended to. And then in the process, I said, all right, we've got scripted later in the game to have our T-shirt toss and a couple of other on-field promotions. And I'm like, all right, we are firing all of those one after the other until we get this resolved. And so, granted, fans kind of have to wait for go get the blower. I know that behind the scenes, and trying not to freak out too much. But of course, it was no one's fault. Just it's a freak accident.
Yeah.
And so in that process, we got everything taken care of and got to do a couple extra T-shirt tosses that teams always have extra shirts behind the scenes. If they're like, oh, sorry, we don't have any more, they're lying to you. So that's kind of a little secret. They always have T-shirts ready to roll. And so in doing that, got the blower back working, everything went on the rest of the game, smooth sailing. But one of those where previous moments and things that have happened in the past, like it just when you kind of get in those moments, they just click. You're like, oh, this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
And I felt prepared for that. And so the
Perfect.
previous people that I worked with set me up for that. So I'm very grateful because it could have been a lot worse.
I never really thought about it like that, but every professional game I've been to, there's always something going on. Whether it's like if there's, where they're like a timeout or something, and there's something on the screen, something to be involved in, or they do the kiss cams or something like that. I never knew that. Like there's always noise, and you're part of the experience, so you don't think about it like that. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Now I'm like reflecting.
Yeah, and it takes a little bit away from the sporting experience when you work in sports because you're looking at those little minute details of, okay, what promotion are they running? Who are they involving? Who's the sponsor? What does that look like? What's the fan reaction? There's all the little intricacies. And then sometimes I'm even taking personal notes, or I take out my phone and go, that's a great idea. Like, I'm gonna jot that down. And
so you do go to competing teams to check out the competition and
perfect. Yeah. I mean, marketing is not creating something new. It's sometimes taking a little bit of what someone else did, put your spin to it, and going.
Or maybe liking, hey, that's a really cool sponsor. Never thought about it. Let me see if I can try to make that connection.
There's I've seen some stuff that are just really unique and fun, and the fans love it, and so. Even though I don't work directly in sponsorship or game operations anymore, kind of take that over to those that work respectively in that department and go, hey, if we can do this, I saw it and it was a lot of fun. So see if we can make it work.
Nice. Now I'm going to veer a little bit towards San Antonio.
All right.
Of course, this is the Home Sweet Home San Antonio podcast. And you were bopping around from Tennessee, all over Texas and stuff like that. So do you call San Antonio home?
Yes.
Okay. And I know that earlier you said, hey, San Antonio is a very relationship-based city. Things take time. We're very, like you said, it's based on trust. It's built on rapport. And it's built on like that family-friendly feel. Mm-hmm. So what are a few other things you like to do here in San Antonio besides the Brahmas? And where do you like to go? Where do you like to hang out? Because San Antonio is so big.
It is.
And being from here and born here and raised here, there's even things that I don't still know about because it's just always constantly growing.
The number one thing you can ask anyone, if I've got free time on the weekend, like what is Shane doing? If the weather's decent, which is a huge toss-up. I love golfing.
Oh, okay.
It's my probably favorite thing to do. Just it's a good breakaway from just kind of the chaos of life and things that are going. Get out in nature.
Yeah.
I don't walk. I ride the carts everywhere. I'm not trying to pass out, but San Antonio's got a great set of golf courses. They have actually, and I didn't know this till I think earlier this year, but Brackenridge Golf Course is the oldest public golf course in Texas.
Oh, I knew it was old, but I didn't know it was like it held the number one spot.
Yeah. Now public, because there's some private courses that obviously hold the oldest, but I think it was built in the early 1900s. So. Anyways, it's a beautiful course, and it's probably my favorite thing to do here in San Antonio. And then, of course, it's fun. I did this growing up as a kid. It'd be basically a combo trip that we would do as a family. But now I can do it basically every summer. But we would come down from DFW, and we would go to Schlitterbahn in New Braunfels. We'd get in on a Friday, we would go to Schlitterbahn on Saturday, and then we would tube the river on Sunday.
Ooh, yeah.
And then after being cooked, sunburnt, and everything else, we would drive back up on Sunday. So I'm glad now that I can just take a quick trip up 35, and I can do one or the other. But it's a easy plug-in to do during the summer whenever we have family or friends come in town and go, well, what do you want to do? And it's like, well, I've already seen the Alamo and we've checked out the river walk. And it's like, let's go tubing. Let's go hit the river.
Love it. Love it. And you mentioned, we were before this podcast, right? We were talking about favorite restaurants and stuff. And you did mention, hold on, let me get my notes. Rose's Tacos to Go near I-10 and Highway 90.
Their barbacoa breakfast tacos are fantastic.
Okay.
That's my favorite menu item. Theirs.
Perfect.
But
what are some other restaurants or places? I know you said like golfing and stuff, but
Trilogy Pizza. closer in like the Stone Oak area.
I've heard of that.
That is my favorite deep dish pizza.
Okay.
The funny thing is, it was right before my wife and I had gotten married, and my mother-in-law came in town. Actually, yeah, my mother and father-in-law came in town, and she just ordered from a random place for a pizza. And we're like, "Where'd you order?" And she's like, "I don't know. It's not a chain restaurant. Just order somewhere." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And it shows up, and it's this fantastic Chicago-style deep dish pizza,
Interesting.
and it's amazing. Like, you almost feel kind of guilty sometimes, like how good it is.
Yeah.
But I will go out of my way because my wife and we live in Converse now. We used to live kind of closer to 281 and 1604 north side of San Antonio. I will drive out of my way every so often. It's a nice treat to get Trilogy Pizza because it's just that good.
And what's your favorite pizza from there?
Oh, anything. It's basically like a
Anything
meat
deep dish.
lover.
Okay.
Any like kind of meat lover style pizza is going to be what I go with.
Fun. Now, speaking of fun, it's always fun to meet celebrities. Now, you're in sports industry, and there's a lot of big names in sports. How many have you met, or like, do you have a list of like blah blah blah, or do you have a favorite celebrity that you've met?
Oh,
Or I mean, and I say celebrity doesn't have to just be connected to sports,
Yeah.
because sometimes celebrities go to sports games.
yeah, absolutely. Oh man, it's an interesting question because anyone that has worked in sports or is still working in sports kind of knows that we're privileged to be around big name people from very facets of sports or other industries.
Yeah.
So, you kind of have to put the fangirling aside, where you kind of have to treat them like just normal people. And
Yeah.
a lot of the time they respect that because everyone else in the building is going absolutely nuts. But probably one of my favorite experiences is I'm pro Texas in all of the sports teams that I follow, but one, which might receive a little hate backlash, but I'm a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. So with that, players that I watched growing up, one of them happened to be Brian Westbrook, who was the running back for the Eagles in the early to mid 2000s. Well, he oversaw some of the player operations side last year for the XFL, and we hosted, because every year the league hosts the championship game at a neutral site. This year was St. Louis. Last year was in our backyard in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. And so with that, other league officials that don't normally attend our games were there. And so I had one of my colleagues text me and said, "Hey, Brian Westbrook's in one of the suite. Get up here and come say hello." And granted, there's some things I had to take care of. That's part of my job.
Yeah.
Once I took care of that, I raced up to the suite level, and I was able to fangirl a little bit and just tell him how big of a fan I was of him. I grew up watching him. I have like a kid's jersey of his still. My dad took me to a game in Philadelphia. It was my first experience. This was, 2005. And Brian Westbrook's was the jersey that I got in Philadelphia. So there's a sacredness to that jersey. But to get to meet him in person, of someone that I grew up watching, kind of idolizing in my early watching of Eagles football, was just such a neat opportunity that just isn't afforded every single day.
Nice. And you're like, that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Did you get anything signed?
No, because
The experience is enough.
And that's part of the thing is,
Don't ask for too much.
most of the time you don't know if that person's going to be there. And if they show up, generally as a picture, at least kind of in my profession, a picture kind of teeters the line of that's acceptable, but sometimes you can ask if it's like a reoccurring person, go, hey, would they be okay signing something? Again, you just kind of test the waters and see, and at this point in my career in sports, I just kind of use my discretion, where if I feel like I'm maybe bothering them, then I'm not going to worry too much about it. But if they're open to it, or
Case by
the
case
setting
situation.
I'm going for it because it's fun. It's a fun memory to have.
So growing up, I also know that you love Star Wars and you have a huge sneaker collection. Do you find that those kind of intermingle with your job?
Well, not so much my job. At least from the sneaker side, I've thought about putting together like a kind of like a sneakerhead ticket combination night. I'm not the first one to think about it. Other teams have done it, and it's been successful for them. It's just logistically figuring that out is what maybe more so is the process in taking that. So that'd be a fun way to combine two of my respective worlds. And then I have actually kind of embarked on when I was with the indoor football team and I was putting together the theme nights. Unfortunately, the team that I was with folded, such as nature and sometimes arena football. But we had initially planned a May 4th game, and I had reached out and got connected with people from Lucasfilm. And I still have the letter of them saying, yep, you guys are good. Basically, as a small sports team or a minor league sports team package, here are the video and assets that you guys can legally use in game. So I still have that letter because this is from Lucasfilm kind of deal. So that's maybe probably the closest I've had to blending Star Wars or even sneakers into what I've done in sports throughout my career.
Do the Brahmas play during May?
They do.
Oh, so you should see if May 4th is coming up and it's a weekend.
We'll
Hit them back up.
That's true. We'll have to see how we could maybe put something together. Always in kind of cluing you in on the inside. It's always difficult of we can put that together, but who do we cater to and target?
Yeah,
because you can't just say just Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
But how can we leverage a Star Wars night and bring more people to a Brahmas game that if we didn't have a Star Wars night, why they're showing up.
I think one thing that sticks with a lot of people is just anything nostalgic.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think that would like double enhance the fan experience. Because they're like, man, I'm having fun, but dang, I'm also nostalgic right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a fine piece to try and blend and combine those things. But again, it's fun to see those things pay off and kind of get the feedback on how the fans experience it.
So speaking on industry trends, right? I know that with certain things like customer experience or customer service or anything of that nature, like some things is just like there's a foundation. There's just a steady thing that you just never change, Right. But obviously there's different trends, different fads, different things to try out and things elevate from there.
Yeah.
Do you find that it's better to learn from personal experience, like going to other competing teams, gaining maybe some stuff from online, or have you started utilizing like AI into your job and trying to figure all of that out?
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to just say bend the knee to AI at some point. I feel kind of stubborn, and if I write my emails or so, I want it be written of me and maybe making sure I'm opening up my vocabulary or so while I'm just putting together emails. But it'll be interesting to see, especially on the ticket sale side, of how AI combines with that. That's not something have delved into quite yet. But it'll be interesting to see how that shapes, respectively, like what I do and what other industry professionals do. But I would say, to answer kind of your first part of your question, it's a mixture of both, where experience is great and it's an incredible teaching tool. But even though those that work in sports are very niche compared to other sectors, like medical field or teaching, anything of that nature that has just a huge pool of workforce, it's very important to branch out and network, just so much importantly to build your own local network, but to build those relationships within your respective industry. A colleague of mine, his name's James Carr, he probably does this better than anyone that at least I've worked with, where he'll go, oh yeah, I just got off the call with a Major League Baseball team. We were talking about how they do their customer retention. And I think to myself, I need to be doing more what James does and reaching out to industry professionals that are either equal or maybe a little bit higher up than me that have had that experience that can go, hey, here's what I would do. Or if you're looking to implement this program for your season ticket holders, or this is how we got college students out to our game, and leaning on others than just trying to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. No, I see you. Now, sports, speaking of branching out, because you mentioned those two words. Now, branching out, of course, globally, sports is just huge.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes watch on TV, like, sometimes there's commercials, right? But do you sometimes try to gauge what they're doing globally to kind of get more inspiration from what's going on, or do you stick to more national team competition?
I think from like an observing standpoint, it's more national. I mean, you can even see this from a market perspective where San Antonio is uniquely different than, say, our market for our team in St. Louis. So trying not to, I guess, widen our scope so much that we kind of lose sight of our local base. But I think taking from how do soccer teams have such fanatical fans, especially in Europe and other parts of the country, and what do they do outside of just their culture and history? Like, what do they do to involve their fans, and how does that cultivate to the crazy atmosphere that they create and that you even see on TV?
Okay. Interesting. Now, of course, there's some high net worth individuals out there. So if a really high net worth person wants to come see the Brahmas, they are expecting a luxury experience. Maybe
Absolutely.
they're not like a season membership
Sure.
ticket owner.
Yeah.
Is that, how do you say that?
Season ticket holder.
They
That's as simple as that.
I feel like a membership. I'm just too many. It's too big of a word. Season ticket holder.
It gets thrown around,
Okay.
or ticket membership, because there are membership perks. Like if you're a member at a country club or something like that, there are membership perks. Just so that's why
interesting.
sometimes it's a little bit
Oh, okay.
interchangeable. But
You know what I'm saying.
Absolutely, just season tickets is perfectly fine.
Okay. Well, let's say a high net worth individual comes and they're visiting San Antonio and they're like, "Hey, I want to go check out the Brahmas." Now, what can you do to create them a very luxury, very detailed experience? Is there something you can do a little bit extra for that client?
Yeah, absolutely. I think first off is how many people are coming. What's kind of that group or party size? Or if it's
25.
just 25. All right, let's roll with it. So with that, we've got two options that I would go for, because 25 puts them outside of the maximum capacity of a suite. Our suites are really at the Alamo Dome. They hold up to 20.
Okay, we're gonna go with 20, but let's go with
so we're gonna
25
go
as well.
20.
Yeah, let's go with 20. I want to know the sweet experience.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so really kind of first off, get an idea because everyone's perception of luxury or premium is sometimes different. Where premium could be, I want to be as close as possible on the field. Or premium or luxury means I am separated from everyone and I have my own space. And so it's establishing, what are you trying to gain in a Brahmas game? Do you want to be a part of the action, or are you trying to have a offset, like a suite setting, to where I'm trying to wine and dine some clients? Or you know what, we want to enjoy a football game, but we want the food brought to us in our suites. We want a customizable menu, and maybe we'll do something like be a part of the pre-game warm-ups and watching players, be down there on the field and watch players warm up, or be a part of the high five tunnel, or maybe do post-game autographs. And that's why I always just kind of talk with my clients, hey, if you're bringing a client of yours and they've got, they're bringing their son or something like that, and you're really trying to impress them, man, let's get them down on the field. Let's see if we can't get them a signed ball, basically provide the son with something. So then the dad comes back to you and goes, man, thanks for an amazing experience. Let's talk Monday and we'll finalize that contract. Whatever that looks like to make my client the hero, because obviously I want them to get the ROI in investing in us. So separate of that, if maybe they want to be down on the field, we have a bullpen area that's all inclusive, with a rotating menu, and you're down there at field level. You're hanging on the wall. Nice. And you're just privy to a football experience hearing things that the players say, to a little bit of everything, getting to high five a player after he catches a touchdown. So you're basically morphed into a little bit more of the experience and say what a little bit higher up is going to give you. But again, it's just working with what do you want to get out of it, and let's put something together. It's not, this is the box, you got to fit within it, and too bad, take it or leave it.
I see. A lot of energy, Shane. A lot of things going on. Now, you are married.
Yes, happily.
Happily. I know. What is your wonderful wife's name?
Her name is Sarah.
Sarah.
With an H.
Okay, that's definitely important.
It's spelled, with an H is spelled correctly. No disrespect to anyone that does it. That's what she always tells me.
I'm always Christina with a K.
Yeah, right.
You like sharp with a P. Sorry, that's not funny. Anyway, do you guys have kids?
No, we don't.
Okay.
We'd love to have kids, hopefully in the next couple of years. But in the meantime, we have a 4-year-old golden retriever.
So you do have a kid.
Yeah, he's very demanding. Very demanding.
Golden retrievers are so beautiful.
He's the greatest dog.
What's his name?
His name's Charlie.
I love it.
He's the biggest goof, and like there's been a couple of times, whether he's at the vet or we're about to go on a trip, so we've dropped him off at a friend's house. Just any time that my wife and I are home, that Charlie's not in the house for just that whatever various reason,
it feels empty.
It feels so empty. It's awful. We're like, we hate this feeling, and we can't wait to get him back, even if we're about to head on a trip. So he is our baby, very much so. Our child.
I love it. So happily married, and you are very happy in your job. But a lot of people that we find questioning us or just being busy is how do you manage a work-life balance, especially during high season or when things are kicking up and kicking high and picking back up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I dated my wife all throughout college. So while I was doing the internship at Texas Tech in at the promotions and fan engagement department, she knew that there's a Tuesday night or there is a all-day Saturday that she's just not going to see me. Or she could go to the football game with some friends. I'm going to be down on the field running around, throwing T-shirts out or getting people, whatever it looks like. So kind of built up that understanding of, well, this is what I do, this is what I work in sports, and so I love you, just I will see you in June, basically, when the season kicks off in February or so. So got a good understanding of at least, hey, I've got to go work this event on a Saturday, kind of it's not Monday through Friday. It's Monday through maybe Sunday at times because we have a game on Sunday, but we've got a player-based event on Saturday, so it's Monday through Sunday. So she kind of knows that, and but with that, I always make sure that maybe I don't go play golf on a certain day because we haven't got to go have a date night or something, and maybe we'll go to the Pearl or something like that, walk around for the farmer's market or go grab coffee just to make sure that the craziness of it, because she's a teacher, and so just like I have a season, she has her spring and fall season that we know when life is busy for us. And so summer is the best time where we just are really able to enjoy each other's company because it's kind of a downtime for both of what we do.
Exactly. And that's what you're talking about, going up to the river, going tubing.
Absolutely.
And I have to make this comment. So it's funny because when people say tubing, my kind of tubing is behind a boat holding onto a tube.
Yeah.
But also my kind of tubing is also sitting on a river and staying connected to people and drinking and having fun.
Yeah, it depends like where you're at. Like if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area tubing, you're getting strapped to the back of the boat and you're praying that your friend's dad is not, sending you 50 feet in the air and you get whiplash. Yeah. And it's different down here.
Yeah. So now I do have a question. You have a lot of energy, a lot of positivity, which is great for where you're working. What are you hoping to have some sort of impact on the Brahmas, or are you wanting the Brahmas to make an impact on the city? Like, how are you trying to incorporate them just getting more out there and having more fans come in and enjoy these games?
Yeah, I mean, I can't ever say it's just me making an impact because I'm one person. Our team collectively on the back end of the Brahmas, everyone pulls their weight and some, and we've got a good group of guys and girls that will help each other and kind of go outside of their respective roles. And just as much as I enjoy networking, getting out and about, there's other areas that I'm not as good at that other guys on the sales staff are just much better than me at. And so we all kind of have our strengths and weaknesses. And so kind of sometimes bundle up my energy and just shoot me out into a networking event where there's not too many strangers or not a conversation I kind of can't handle. And so it's more so leaning on our strengths and weaknesses of each other, but also, you know, how we can make an impact within the city, knowing that there has been other sport franchises, not just football, that have come in, stayed, you know, a few years, maybe a little bit longer, and then they've left. And so San Antonio has been burnt a few times by that. So it's, you know, garnering trust from not just season ticket holders, fans in general, but local businesses, how we can earn their business, but also build that relationship and grow that as we grow the Brahmas, and in turn create opportunities that were more rooted in the community, so we can maybe expand some time and do stuff with schools or organizations that have less funds than, you know, maybe
Like
the ones that were just
work.
and so it allows us a little bit more flexibility, if you will, as we grow and become I'd say more stable.
Love that. Love that. Now, what advice do you have for someone who wants to be doing something similar to, or just wants to get into the sports industry? Like, I love sports. I just want to be involved with it somehow. What advice would you have for the up and coming generation?
Yeah. I mean, personally, this is for anyone that wants to work in sports. You're always more than welcome to reach out to me. I always wish in turn that I had people that just answered a lot of my questions, and sometimes I had to figure out some stuff on my own. But with that, don't be afraid to ask. Reach out, like, just put together a LinkedIn profile. Does not have to be the most well put together, especially if you're in high school, you're in college. It's like, no one in the industry is expecting you to have everything figured out. I've been doing it for a while and I don't have everything figured out. Don't be afraid to ask. Worst case is they ghost you or they say no. And best case, they give you 10, 15 minutes of their time and expand upon, you know, what it took for them to get in their respective role, how long it took for them to get where they are. And I always encourage people, especially in sports, find someone that is just right above you. Like, maybe they just graduated and they're an entry level role. What was the applying process? How'd they get there? Did they know someone on the inside? Then kind of a step above that, maybe where I'm at in my career, and go, all right, well, how long you've been doing this? Is it worth staying this long in sports? You know, how many teams have you worked for? What's just been the process of that? And then someone that's above me that has managed, you know, maybe a couple of different sales teams or just whatever they've done respectively, but they're at, you know, some sort of director role, and they've been doing it for 8 to 10 years. And just the worst, I wouldn't say like worst case, but, you know, you get information, but best case, you make a friend, you make a connection. And as I've learned and how I've gotten my respective jobs hasn't solely been on my merits or what my resume looks like. It's someone that's referred me or someone that's worked internally that's helped me get the job. And just never burn your bridges. You never know when it's going to come back around, and you're going to be potentially working for that person or working alongside that person. So you know, just keep those connections, but outreach, and don't be scared to ask someone for 10 to 20 minutes of their time.
Nice. Let me pick apart your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, do you ever think San Antonio's going to get an NFL team?
I don't think so.
A lot of people don't think so. I know there's a lot of people not wanting it to happen because of the Cowboys and all of that stuff.
I you know, just as long as I'd say probably, you know, the Cowboys and the Texans exist, they've got a good grasp on the San Antonio, Austin, basically just kind of the DFW, Austin, San Antonio triangle, if you will. They've got a good grasp on both those fan bases. And so with that, when I come across people that say, Well, I'm waiting for San Antonio to get an NFL team.
That's like people
Option
saying, "Well, I'm waiting for the interest rates to go down."
Right.
So-
I'd love for that to happen as a homeowner. But so like, let me know when it's dropping.
I will.
But I always encourage people that if that's what they're waiting on, support the Brahmas. These are guys that are trying to make it into the NFL. They're not trying to just use us to live out their glory days. These are highly competitive athletes. There's a reason I'm selling tickets to go see them. I'm not out there like these guys are high performance athletes that are trying to hone in on their craft on whatever position they're playing and getting additional game tape, additional game experience, and we're able in turn to send them off to the NFL, and we kind of throw that as a notch on our belt that, as a Brahmas fan or just in San Antonio, you're like, yeah, the guy that was our best wide receiver last year, his name's John Trey Kirkland. He just got picked up by the 49ers. So how cool is it to see certain guys that you watched that were on the Brahmas, and you may not like the 49ers because whatever NFL team you follow, but you're like, I at least like that guy because he's a former Brahmas. And so it's just cool to see how some of that stuff expands, let alone like I play fantasy football and, we've had players like a kicker or so that was a former UFL athlete. And you're like, I could pick up that guy on fit. That's crazy. Like I just watched him this spring. And so it's really neat to see some of those guys really, take hold of the league that we're in and,
Yes.
make the most of it.
No, absolutely. I'm gonna do it like a little technical difficulty, darling. I know that you're writing some questions, but can you scroll down because there's only so many questions that I can see. But keep going down. Hold on. Keep going because there was one thing I saw. Keep going. Down. I can't see. Yeah, but they. Oh, you're the best. Sorry. There a little technical difficulty. Now, I was gonna ask this question too. So, for a
Okay.
young child, our 13-year-old son loves football.
Yeah.
Really good at it and all that other stuff. So, for someone like him, what is some good advice or steps for him to work on if he wants to become part of the Brahmas?
Oh boy. Time.
Okay.
Like the commitment that it takes. Someone like me who wasn't as tall or wasn't as fast as some of the guys that I played with in high school. Some people are just naturally gifted. Now that takes them so far, but there's also a point, there's a cerebral, point where they've got to study game film and know how to be able to break down a defense or, learn from game tape and hone in on their craft to get better. But really, time is the biggest thing, the commitment level, and then even just the diet that it takes. Basically, I got to the end of my sophomore year in high school. I was like, I'm kind of done committing the time to long football practices. I want to hang out with my buddies. I want to go to the movies.
Dedication.
Yeah, really the dedication piece. But I think there's also an understanding that there's a joy and a love for the game. You hear that, but also know that sometimes like it's a job.
Yeah.
When you've got to, as you're growing up, if your friends are going and hanging out and spending the night having sleepovers or whatever, but you're trying to train for this, tournament or competition, you've got to get up and put video games aside and you got to go train. And I can't speak from experience because I didn't necessarily do this, but it was pretty quick how much it funnels down to, well, yes, you aspire to make a varsity roster spot. Okay, that's in high school. And then it just trickles down to even getting on a college team, let alone a scholarship, and then all the way to the Brahmas and then to the NFL if you don't get picked up. It becomes more and more competitive and just that much harder. So
Nice. Okay.
say go for it, but have fun and enjoy it while you're in that process.
Yeah.
And as soon as it doesn't become fun, unless you are hard pressed on making it collegiately or professionally, continue down that path. But if you don't enjoy it anymore,
Yeah.
focus
There's
on
so
other
many other
things.
choices.
Yeah, and they're kids.
Yeah.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
So I got like 2-3 more questions.
Okay.
Are you friends with the team players or the Brahmas team?
No, not really. I mean, I've mingled with them a few
Okay.
times, or have driven them to a couple of like a season ticket member event or something like that. But I try and not bother them too much. I might ask them a couple of questions, but otherwise they're there to hang out with our season ticket holders
Yeah.
or be at an event for a school or something like that. So generally, I'm focused on that event of why
got
they
it.
are there. So, but again, just I don't try and intermingle with them too much.
Yeah. And who's the most famous player to come from the Brahmas? That's out there in the
man.
world.
Let's see, I'm trying to think. I don't know if I can necessarily like that has come from the Brahmas. I'm drawing up. I want to say it's make sure it's the correct person, but our tight end. It's Cody Lattimore, who previously played on the Broncos when Coach Wade was there. Honestly, probably our most like famous person is
coach?
our head coach is Wade Phillips.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
He's awesome. I've had a couple of opportunities to talk to him, and he loves football. And this is kind of his opportunity to work and continue to be in football. That what football has done. Basically put into his respective life. Almost like kind of a way of giving back in a sense.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. Are you ready?
Right, let's go for it.
So, Gabriel and I it's towards the end of our podcast.
Okay.
So, thank you so much.
We've made it. All right.
It flew by really quickly.
I know, it does.
Like,
It does.
It's been an hour. So, we have a tradition where our podcast guest,
Okay.
they don't know who the next podcast guest is. So,
Okay.
they have to ask them a question.
All right.
Anything in the world. So our last podcast guest asked us a question to ask our next guest, which is you.
Okay.
So if you had to build a structure or a building in San Antonio, what would you build and why?
Oh wow. I mean, land is not cheap by any means.
Money's not an object.
Money's not an
You
object.
could knock down the Tower of Americas if you wanted to. Just kidding. I love the Tower of Americas.
That would be a bunch of.
Don't come for me.
I don't want to be that person that
No, I
does
know.
that.
But you can move some buildings out the way.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
you wanted it to be downtown.
I would put. I'd build a driving range.
Oh, okay.
Selfishly.
Yeah.
I'd build a driving range and I would put it around maybe the Windcrest Live Oak area off of 35. You get plenty of traffic there. You don't have a driving range until closer to 410, where North Park Mall.
Yeah.
And then Top Golf is northwest San Antonio.
Yep.
And then the one that they're putting in New Braunfels, I mean, that's plenty east, down 35. So I'd put a driving range because one, it's a little bit closer to me, selfishly. But I feel like that would be somewhat of an easy job to manage, and I guess wouldn't do because it's easy, but that's something that I enjoy in that space.
Yeah.
So that's what I would go with.
Okay. I'm asking one more question because I just thought about it. So do you prefer the golf course or do you prefer like a Top Golf sort of?
Oh, golf course.
Okay.
10 times over.
Nice.
Just because, I mean, that's what you practice
You're in
for.
nature.
I mean, the nature part is definitely great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's the scenery, but it's also the different challenges. Where at Top Golf, you can play a couple of different mini games, but you're still hitting off the same mat. Where when you play golf, you got to hit over a sand bunker or water, which has a strong gravitational pull when you play golf. But it's the different challenges, and you get 18 holes of variable different challenges per hole.
Yeah.
So it's fun for the most part.
Okay. I see you. Now, what is your question that we have for the next guest? And I need to write this down.
I know I mentioned it prior, and I'm best place to get tacos in San Antonio.
Best place to get tacos. And I will personally hurt them if they say a place that's like not good.
Yeah, right.
Like
Absolutely.
Taco Cabana. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
Yeah,
Not gonna hurt
no
nobody.
hatred. Their bean and cheese tacos are great in the morning, but not my first stop.
Okay. Perfect. No, I have one more tradition.
Okay.
Okay. So I did kind of go wrong. So I love art. I like to call myself a self-proclaimed artist. So
Okay.
you see some of my stuff
Yep.
in and around the office. Just not that. That's
I was like, that's really good. That's really
that's
cool.
Amazon.
Okay. All right.
But I created a canvas for you. So Gabriel and I always do it for closing clients if they close a house with us.
Oh, wow.
But also our podcast guests.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I will say, disclaimer, I was actually thinking of like a black canvas and
Okay.
doing like black and metallics and yellows and golds and whites because of the Brahmas.
Yeah.
But in cutting it open, I cut a hole into the canvas.
That's okay. That's the
Gabriel
ambiance
said
of
it would have been fine. I was like, can we make it like a punching and you're like, sports, yeah, football, woo,
It's art, so it's the discretion of
I know, but
the creator.
him and I were like, well, it's damaged, so they might not see it that way. Well, now I know it's okay, but I'm still going to give you this one.
Okay.
But I can make one for you that is black and it's the Brahmas color, so I don't
Okay.
want to take that away from you. So this one's pretty big.
Oh my gosh.
I hope you brought a big car.
Yeah.
Because our last podcast got Heather Wren.
Yeah.
She drives a little coupe, and I got her
Oh,
one
no.
this size, and it didn't fit, and I still need to give it to her.
Oh my gosh.
But this one is big.
Oh my gosh.
So it's made out of canvas and melted crayons.
Oh my gosh. That is so awesome. Wow.
Thank you. So that's kind of what
No, thank you.
would have looked like with
so
the Brahmas
much.
colors.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. I really appreciate
Oh, you're
I'll
welcome.
get back to the mic. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I know you're all the way on the east side, and it's a bit of a drive. We have a lot of clients who are buyers on the east side, so when we have them, we're like, okay, we're ready for a whole day trip.
Yes.
And I know it's hot outside and all of that stuff, so thank you again so much for being here. We truly appreciate it. Gabriel and I do love to take our kids out and get them to have some experiences outside. So we do eventually want to go to get some tickets to Brahmas game because I haven't been to one. I want to
Yeah.
see one so bad.
I may know a guy. I'll see if I can help you out with
do you
that.
know a guy?
Yeah.
I'm hoping for a nice experience,
Yeah, we could probably work that out. Get you guys down on the field.
Oh, you know what? Dang, we're going right now. All right, so Shane, how can people get in touch with you? Take it away. Tell us how they can, your email, name, number, all that stuff, and just sell yourself to the world. Make it all about you. Go.
Oh gosh, yeah. Let's go with this. So my direct number, you can call or text me. Honestly, at any point of the day. Understand not everyone can, look at tickets and do stuff in their normal working hours. So I'll work with you outside of working hours. But the best way to reach me is my direct line, and that is 210-739-1849. Or shoot me over an email if you're more comfortable with that route at shane.sharp@theufl.com. So, again, I appreciate this opportunity,
of course.
guys.
Well, you gave me a T-shirt, so I'm repping it right now.
Absolutely.
Actually,
I love it.
I gave the one you gave to me my size to our son Landon. He's the one
Oh,
who loves
perfect.
football.
There you go.
He really liked it. But I'm wearing this one and it's very comfortable.
Yes.
Great quality. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Of course.
So yes, thank you once again. Truly, truly appreciate it. Round of applause for Shane. We are about a year into our podcast. So thank you so much for watching. If you've been watching since the very beginning, and if you haven't, you need to go watch our other videos. We've had some really cool guests as well. So we try to do a different variety. If you know somebody who is a mover and shaker in San Antonio, please contact us. We'd love to have you on our podcast. And if you know anybody, right, who's looking to buy or sell and invest in San Antonio, we would love to help you all out with that as well. And thank you so much. Subscribe. It really helps our algorithm and our views and all that YouTube crap. So thank you so much again for watching. We truly appreciate it. We will see you guys on the next one. Adios, muchachos.